So, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today the UNESCO Institute for Information Technologies and Education and Wedon Cloud Education Group are proud and pleased to welcome you all to the joint webinar, Innovating for a Sustainable Future, the Role of ICT and AI in Greening TVET. Our online session is organized as an essential and dynamic component of the UNESCO Wedon project, Building Future Schools with ICT Competence and Innovative Pedagogy, and IITE's flagship webinar series, Harnessing Technology to Transform Education. Now, starting this Monday, November 11th, the 29th Conference of the Parties, COP29 in Azerbaijan, has convened thousands of dedicated professionals from across the world under the motto, In Solidarity for a Greener World. And we warmly salute all our colleagues already on the ground in Baku, as well as those here with us today who will soon be part of COP29 events as well. And we are thrilled to bring together today such a passionate group of speakers, panelists, and attendees who are committed to driving impactful change. Now, sounding the keynote for today's session is the person whose inspiration, encouragement, and overall support lead our team from something in mind to something in kind. It is my great pleasure to pass the stage to the director of UNESCO IITE, Mr. Tao Zhan. Tao, we are looking forward to your welcome address.
Thank you, Helena. Dear experts and dear participants, hello from Moscow, from UNESCO Institute for Information Technologies in Education, IITE, and welcome you all to join today's webinar. And first, I'd like to thank our partner, Wedon Cloud Education Group, for supporting IITE's activity in greening TVET and for co-organizing this webinar. And represented by Mr. Zichen Wang with us today, Wedon is a strategic partner of UNESCO and part of the well-known 2015 Qingdao Declaration on ICT in Education 2030 agenda. We have been working together with Mr. Zichen for more than 6 years. Secondly, I'd like to thank all speakers and panelists, our UNESCO colleague from Paris, experts from the African continent, and from different regions of the world. We are expecting to learn from you and to be inspired by your ideas, visions, research, and experience. And also, I'd like to welcome all participants from different regions of the world. Your engagement makes this webinar meaningful and exciting. Today's webinar, we are going to focus on several popular topics in an integrated manner. First is climate change and a greening education, a new challenge and a new mission the whole world and we human beings are facing today and tomorrow. Never so critical and urgent like today as debated in Azerbaijan. The second is TVET, the most dynamic part in education that is directly connected by education and the market and society, education and industry, and education and technology innovation. The third is ICT and AI, in particular generative AI, that is changing, reshaping, and revolutionizing the way and even concept of teaching and learning with surprising new tools open and available to us almost every day. Finally, innovation. I believe this is the most exciting word of the world today. Innovating is part of our life. Innovation is open to everyone, to all aspects of education, especially digital technology and AI in greening TVET. When the four exciting topics are integrated in today's webinar, we can expect many exciting new ideas, new visions from the speakers and the audience. Before finishing my short remark, I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Natalia and Elena, for designing and organizing this webinar, and many others as well. UNESCO IITE is a Category 1 institute of UNESCO and is the only one with this global mandate of promoting ICT in education, promoting digital technologies in transforming teaching and learning, harnessing AI to transform greening TVET is a special focus and a flagship of our institute. IIT's passion and strengths come from our partnership and network we have, come from you, from the shared mission and goal of all of us. So we look forward working more closely with all of you. I wish a very productive and inspiring discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tao. UNESCO IIT is proud to co-host this session with our long-standing partner, Weidong Cloud Education Group, representing the team of the leading edtech company enabling digital transformation in learning and development industry is Mr. Wang Jijiang, the Vice President of Weidong Cloud Education Group. Mr. Wang, we greatly value your support on this virtual stage, and our attention are all yours.
Thank you, Elena. Okay. Esteemed guest participants and dear friends of UNESCO IITE, on behalf of Weidong Cloud Education Group, it is my great honor to extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this momentous gathering focused on the transformative potential of ICT for Green TVET. Today, we convene with a shared vision to harness the power of technology in delivering content of sustainable and eco-friendly training. Weidong Cloud Education Group was established in 2012, focusing on technology innovation in TVET. We have successfully expanded our educational service throughout 25 countries and regions. We believe learning is life-changing. We do consolidate transformed mindset, methodology, and talents, which motivates continuous innovation in education digital transformation, promote effective synergy of ICT solutions, applications, and service through comprehensive measures, bridging the regional digital gaps, boost education digital construction, and contribute to the fair development of education in the world. Weidong is a strategic partner of UNESCO since 2014. Weidong UNESCO IIT have very comprehensive cooperation on education technologies. Talking about the role of ICT and AI in greening TVETs, it is an enlightening topic which draws ICT and the training of climate response practice together. This is a journey to pave the way for a greener future. Greening training content in TVET involves integrating sustainability and environmental consciousness into the education curriculum. This ensures that learners are equipped with the necessary knowledge and skills to contribute to environmentally friendly practice in their respective fields. Finally, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to each participant and the organizer IITE for their dedication to this program. And I'm confident that the collaborative efforts undertaken here will yield a positive impact on both environment and TVET. Thank you and best wishes for fruitful and enlightening outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wang, for your support and your encouragement. Now, our webinar is privileged to have gained the substantial support of our colleagues at the UNESCO headquarters. Opening the keynote session and setting the stage for an engaging exploration of impactful ideas is Mr. Ilya Rieki, the project officer at the section of Youth Literacy and Skill Development of the Division for Policies of Lifelong Learning Systems at UNESCO HQ. Ilya, it's a true pleasure to welcome your participation, and I gratefully cede the floor to you.
Thank you, Elena. Can you see my presentation clearly?
Full screen, perfect.
Full screen, perfect. Your Excellencies, Dr. Zhao, Vice President Wang, thank you for the invitation for the IIT colleagues. Dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here today to talk about this important topic, Innovating for Sustainable Future, the role of ICT and AI in greening TVET. My name is Ilja Riekki, originally from Finland, serving here at the section of Youth Literacy and Skills Development Division for Policies and Lifelong Learning Systems at the UNESCO headquarters. And today we have a presentation where we will go through the current situation, the demand on digital and greening, skills, mapping on technology, and TVET and skills development, a bit of UNESCO's work. There's a lot of UNESCO's work in this space, so I'm only concentrating on few cases and providing you multiple different resources for your exploration, and also providing a few examples of UNESCO's Global Skills Academy's digital skills training, where also which is an enabler for greening TVET. The situation currently is that by the World Economic Forum, they estimate that every 6 in 10 individuals will need to be upskilled or reskilled by 2027. Simultaneously, we have every 1 in 5 youth which are not in education, employment, or training, or so-called NEET youth. The situation, fortunately, is improving with NEET youth, but at the same time, the projected growth of youth population is challenging the improvement situation. An important reminder of the existing inequities when it comes to ICT and AI is the reality of connectivity. During COVID, only 28% of the students in the poorest countries were connected or reached through distance learning. The GEM report last year on technology and the GEM Youth report specific edition is telling more about these inequities. Another inequity is the global gender gap, which is one of the biggest hindrances for equitable development. And when it comes to the demand side, the share of so-called green talent, meaning that you have at least one green-related, sustainability-related skill, is very low. And same time, the demand already 2023 was a quarter of the 1/5, 1/4 of the positions posted in LinkedIn. Of course, when we talk of developing economies or transition economies, LinkedIn might not be the best platform to signal the job growth. These are economies with high level of informality, hence might not be the most accurate platform. In some of the economies, the demand might be in fact higher than this one, while somewhere else it's only that demand is only developing. The reality in the years to come is also that hundreds of millions of jobs are turning to digital, or new jobs are being created in certain geographies. And this poses an enormous challenge for societies to respond to the emerging skills needs or address the existing skills gaps. It's been estimated that more than 75% of the companies will plan to adopt AI or related technologies in next 5 years. So the growth for demand of skills comes from there. Same time, these developments are challenging the sustainability of industries, and it can be also we should question ourselves as well when it comes to ICT in education, that how sustainable it is to integrate ICT and how sustainable especially it is to integrate AI into education. So we need to be we should consider the impacts, also the environmental impacts of those technologies. A reminder before I move to the hard topics is that education does not only have the utilitarian value of economic returns, but education and lifelong learning is a human right. When we start to unpack the topic of greening, or topic of digital skills, or topic of artificial intelligence skills, one framework is being provided by International Labour Organization, ILO, where all of these skill sets come together. They consider at ILO that every person or individual who ought to succeed in work life needs the foundational literacies, and then package of cognitive and metacognitive skills. And in addition to that one, the skill sets you need are the basic skills for green jobs and the basic skills for digital competences. And then what is the enabler and the supporting skill set for this one is the skill to be human to a human, so social and emotional skills. So it is as simple as this, which is mind-blowing that with these skill sets we learn how to live with each other, but also how to live with this planet, and we have the skills to learn, unlearn, and relearn throughout our lives. One example of UNESCO's work we have been doing with the international community of development organization is the interagency working group on TVET, where we did a mapping of these organizations' work on technologies. And in the next slides, I'm reviewing a few parts of that mapping, not announcing all the results. Hence, these have not been published, but just giving a description of the work we are doing with this group. And here's an example of tech when we talk about ICT or digitalization or artificial intelligence or greening. The reality with the industries and the reality with the sectors to which demands the TVET system ought to respond is that we are working with various different technologies, which some of them answer directly to the demand of greening, and some of them might be transition economies for greening. Regardless, require new skill sets, require possibly revisions of TVET programs, new curriculum designs, new methodologies, or new technologies to enhance learning. For example, virtual reality simulations. They might be a method for improving equity, or they might be methods for enhancing learning and providing simulation environments in the environment where physical environments are not realistic to be provided. I won't go through the results in detail, but here's a oversimplification of the work a lot of the organizations are doing. And over here we can see that the vocational ed tech, extended reality, so AR, VR, XR, and metaverse are picking up heavily. So over there is quite a lot of research work or programmatic work, while some of the technologies are not covered much. Here are snapshot of the findings that which showcase that artificial intelligence seems to be very popular at the moment. So all the organizations are working on that one. Vocational edtech, big data, and extended reality are well represented. The question remains that are these because of the industry push, or are these because they are easier to implement throughout the education system? Simultaneously, certain technologies, even we would think that they have a high industrial relevance, but at least they have a high relevance for greening, are not well represented. So when it comes to greening agriculture, sustainable practices in agriculture, and enhancement of agriculture through remote sensing, drones, or when it comes to new models of energy storing, concentrated solar power, wind, biogas, biomass, green hydrogen, these are not presented in the internship working group's work. Hence, it can be questioned that what is the readiness to train these in a lot of the member states. I think we should gather more powers together to respond to the emerging needs of upskilling and retraining. So this links directly with the green transition, that if we don't have capacities for green transition, it will be a serious hindrance. I won't go through these ones. I will leave this for considerations, that when we talk about ICT, digitalization, artificial intelligence, and greening, behind these discipline topics, there are multiple cross-cutting considerations, which we should also consider, of ethical, of equity, of genders, of geographies. Oftentimes we concentrate on geographies where data is available, where connectivity is available, so there's less risk for implementation. We should pose a question to development organizations and donors, that in fact should be focused on the least developed and the hardest ones to implement, and taking a informed risk of failing, and need for innovation over there in order to support the weakest ones. And then, of course, types of work. The 9 to 5 traditional method of working is changing rapidly. Snapshots of the work here at the headquarters, and also at the UNEVOC Center for Vocational Education in Bonn. In the headquarters, we have few projects which are also working on digitalization on certain domains of education, or capacity development for fostering skills for life and work with the ministries. So better education for Africa's Rice Bear project, and capacity development for education program. UNEVOC is the Center for Vocational Education. They have member centers around the world, in the member states, and they are heavily working on greening through their leadership programs, also on digitalization, which is a thematic over there, inclusion being the third thematic. And then they have a German-funded project on bridging innovation and learning in TVET, where greening, green energies are being addressed. Also, I noticed yesterday when I went through the updated resources, that they have a webinar on virtual reality next week. Pan-African Initiative is an example of strategy level implementation in Africa, where governments are capacitated for digitalization in TVET strategy. When we come to formative or certification items, there are 2 examples of AI competency frameworks, one for teachers, one for students, published in the Digital Learning Week this September by the Futures of Learning department here at the headquarters, and also a result of consultations with member states. When it comes to more response on direct response on digital skills and digital skills training, either for students or for teachers, UNESCO started during COVID an initiative to train 1 million youth and adults for skills for employability. Over here we have digital skills, entrepreneurial skills, green skills, and some mentoring support. And we implement directly with the member states, or with the institutions, or offer also training directly to individuals. And through some of the implementations, what we have learned is that there is serious need for capacitation for digital skills. Here's an example from Côte d'Ivoire where it's in so the picture is in French, but where you can see that the majority of the assessed teachers, we assessed over 300 teachers over there, had very basic digital capacities. Hence, in order to move to digital or ICT in education, we need to start from basic digital skills and move to intermediate before even moving to digital pedagogies. Another example is a skills development program in digital marketing through digital means. And over here, we had to filter some of the participants based on their digital skills. So we couldn't even admit all the participants due to the lack of digital skills. So digital skills, lack of digital skills blocking you from learning other capacities. One large-scale initiative is what we are doing in Gabon. So we have a national campaign for digital skills launched together with the First Lady of Gabon's office. So idea is to reach or provide opportunities for learning for all Gabonese. Here is one example of the categorization and the kind of a leveling of digital skills. How do we simplify the reality here that when we talk of digital skills, everybody wants digital skills, but we would like to clarify what level are we talking over here. So we have clarified it into digital and media literacy, which is kind of a cross-cutting skill, basic introductory concept, intermediate skills, advanced skills, before moving to job-specific skills. And for example, artificial intelligence mainly exists in advanced and job-specific skills, while majority of the artificial intelligence skills are already in the existing skills frameworks in Europe, often using the DigiComp. And when it comes to labor market side, then there's ESCO and ONET, which both contain digital skills, if I remember correctly, 2,000 something digital skills and 500 something green skills. And similar to the AI, that we start from literacy, AI literacy, moving through job specific, and then digital pedagogies or assessment. It's a separate process and a separate skill set as well. In order to keep us on time, I thank you for your attention and remain available for further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilya, for the wealth of information shared with us in such a short time. And along with all our online viewers, we have truly appreciated the valuable insights from your own experience and expertise, as well as from UNESCO Univox outstanding focused achievements in the field.
Thank you.
1.5 years ago, when UNESCO IITE took its first steps on the path to greening education, we had the opportunity to enter into collaborative and enriching communication with the University College London UCL Centre for Climate Change and Sustainability Education. With us today is the center's remarkable executive director, a pro-director education at the UCL Institute of Education, Professor Nicola Walsh. Nicola, I am honored to yield the floor to you.
Thank you so much. And it's a real honor to be invited to contribute to this webinar. So thank you for the invite. So just to give a very brief context, I'm here in the capacity of Executive Director of the UCL Centre for Climate Change and Sustainability Education, as Elena said. And the centre aims to support teachers to develop the knowledge, skills and capabilities they need to prepare young people for a climate-altered future. And I'm going to sort of take a bit of a step back from the really interesting start that we've had to this session to think about the teachers. So Ilya mentioned in his presentation the importance of lifelong learning, and of course that includes for our teachers, but also the Global Skills Academy and the work that we need to do to upskill our young people. But of course the teachers have a huge role to play in that, and they themselves also need upskilling. So what I want to do is just reflect on how we're working with teachers both through our research, so to think about how we are finding out from teachers what they need in terms of professional development to support their engagement with some of these issues, and then how we are then using really basic technology through some of our online learning platforms to be able to do this. And so I'll report a little bit on some of that research and what the teachers were telling us that they need, because of course, you know, they have a huge responsibility in this. And then a little bit about our response and the professional development programs that we are developing as a result within the centre. As I said, the first thing I want to do is start off with a little bit of context in terms of the research. And we undertook, it was this time 3 years ago, actually, it was at COP26 when it was in Glasgow, a survey of teachers in England to try to understand a little bit more about what they felt they needed and what they were doing around climate change and sustainability. So finding out who was actually already engaged in teaching about it. So were teachers teaching about it? Because in England, it's not on the national curriculum. So we don't know, it's very kind of patchy and sporadic in terms of how teachers are teaching it. And this, of course, includes sort of the wider skills agenda. How climate change and sustainability is being incorporated into current teaching practice. And then what professional development have teachers engaged with already, and what do they need to be able to support them to do this? Because we felt that there's a huge sort of request and a responsibility, as I say, that teachers have to move forward this agenda, both within their own school context, but nationally. And yes, this wasn't necessarily happening. So we needed to find out what support teachers needed from us. And we had 870 respondents, and you can see there predominantly that was secondary teachers, so teaching of students aged 11 to 18, but also early years and primary teachers, so sort of 4 to 11. And also predominantly they were geographers and scientists. Now this was open to all teachers, but of course we felt that actually it was a fairly engaged set, the way that it was sampling of teachers that responded. So many of them were already thinking about, in a positive way, what they could do in the classroom in terms of climate change and sustainability. And I'm just going to focus on, it's a very broad questionnaire, but one really element in terms of who was teaching about it and what support they said they needed. So you can see there climate change and sustainability are most commonly incorporated into teaching in geography and science, and that isn't a surprise. But for us in the centre, and I'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, we feel that teachers of all disciplines and phases, so whether you're a music teacher or a geography teacher or a history teacher, have a lot to contribute through their discipline to supporting young people with climate change and sustainability. And this includes the different technologies that different disciplines can lend themselves to teaching about and through. Less than half of the respondents, though, even though they were quite engaged already, reported participating in any professional development related to climate change and sustainability. So they hadn't had any support, even though some of them were teaching it, they were having to teach themselves. So 71% said that they were teaching themselves about how to incorporate climate change and sustainability into their teaching. 31% had taken part in some professional development offered by external organisations. 24% within school, but only 12.6% had had any climate change and sustainability during their initial teacher education or their pre-service teaching. So within certainly the English context, we were identifying that there's a real gap and problem in between what we're expecting of our teachers, what we think they should be doing, and what they were actually being supported to do within that context. And you can see there, these are some of the things that they said that they wanted support with. So, for example, more opportunities to collaborate, more time to develop their own curriculum, more support from the school leadership team, etc. But it varied as to where they were telling us that they wanted this. And we were interpreting this as sort of they wanted flexibility in terms of the way that they were receiving this training. And you can see there on the bottom right, so some of them preferred training at school and opportunities to engage in training at school. Some of them wanted to be able to access it flexibly at home. Some of them, 44%, wanted in person, but 31.9%, so they wanted online, pre-recorded or asynchronous, and others wanted online live. So a real sort of variation in the way that teachers need to be able to engage with professional development. And of course, that has a lot of implications, because it means that we need to offer professional development for teachers who can squeeze it into their really busy schedules at a time which suits them, and offers opportunities for them to engage with it in schools, maybe collaboratively with colleagues, or at home by themselves when they want to. And because of that, what we've done is develop, and in response to what they're telling us, professional development, which hopefully offers that sort of flexibility. And that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about for the second part of this presentation. So Teaching for Sustainable Futures is our professional development programme for teachers. It's online asynchronous, which means that we're using online platforms to enable them to learn, just through the platform themselves in a time that's convenient for them. That means they can learn about it, and these modules are an hour long, so they can learn about it in a free period at school or in a staff meeting after school. And that means that they have the flexibility to do it by themselves, or at home, or within the school day collaboratively. It's free for everybody. It's really important for us that we're giving all teachers access and support to engage with these technologies and support their own students in a way that is not entrenching or developing inequities, but is fully equitable. And you can see there in black, they're the subjects that we've already done. So history, English, maths, geography, and then the grey subjects are the subjects that we're doing this year, which means that we'll have almost a full range of certainly national curriculum subjects by the end of this year. And it's, for us, it's really crucial that we are not just leaving this to the scientists or to the IT teachers in terms of thinking about the skills agenda, but that actually we're engaging all of our teachers of different disciplines to look at climate change, sustainability, education, and green skills through their own disciplinary lenses. So our professional development is empowering for teachers. It's supported by research, as I've just described. It's knowledge engaged, so it does provide the knowledge as well as the skills, but it's very much future focused and pedagogically adventurous. So we're using different technologies and platforms as a way of supporting that pedagogy. And I was really interested in that Ilya was talking about digital pedagogies and the ways that we're engaging with that in his presentation previously as well. The two more slides, I just wanted to show you that while we're using the platform and the digital pedagogy and the digital approaches, and of course we have green skills very much at the heart of that, but actually we have 4 fundamental outcomes that we want young people to achieve. And this is really crucial. For us, the technology has to be supporting these outcomes rather than becoming the thing that's most important. So for us, effective use of these different technologies is, of course, enabling us to use that in a way that supports the development of young people more broadly. So, for example, every young person has the agency and capabilities to act for the environment. Every young person is equipped to contribute to a socially just, equitable, and compassionate world. Every young person experiences a lifelong connection with nature, etc. And for us, that's not mutually exclusive. So often we think of technology in a way that it's technology or nature connection. And for us, we can use both. So we can use technology in ways which foreground and develop that connection with nature of both teachers and young people. So just as a final slide, because I know that my time is up, I just wanted to illustrate for us how this is done. So again, for the way that we're using technology as a kind of platform or as a window to supporting and offering that professional development, for us is using technology at its most basic, but that allows it to be basic and allows the thinking and the knowledge and the skills development through that platform to be foregrounded. So this is an example of primary English. So these programs are all developed, and this is the last thing I wanted to say, with teachers, but also with academics. So for this, it would be academics in, for example, English, with authors, with subject associations. So we have really strong partnerships, which are both industry and education partnerships, so that we're enabling those different voices to come together and use technology in a way that really works for the teachers and supports them do the job, as I say, that we're expecting them to do, which is supporting our children and young people to be prepared for the future that they're facing. So I think my time is up, but hopefully that gives you a flavour of the way that we're engaging with technology with teachers in order to address this agenda. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Nicola, for your and your team's efforts to support teachers in their aspiration to equip themselves and the youth with the knowledge and skills they need to participate and thrive in the future, sculpted by the hands of climate resilience. Thank you so much. UNESCO IIT and Weidong are also delighted to welcome our next keynote speaker, director of the UNIVAC Center in Hong Kong, and associate professor in the Department of International Education and Lifelong Learning at the Education University of Hong Kong. Dr. Margarita Pavlova is a renowned expert and passionate advocate for sustainable development, recognized internationally for her projects exploring innovative strategies in TVET, advancing green skills, and fostering development pathways that align with global sustainability goals. Margarita, I humbly pass the floor to you. You are muted. Still no sound.
We still can't hear you, Margarita. There you go. Oh, you just went off mute and you went back on. You're still muted.
Still muted, but the
Yes,
presentation
okay.
is full screen.
Now,
Wonderful.
yeah, okay. But can you see my presentation? Because I can't see it now.
It is full screen and it's perfect.
Oh, okay. And how would I see it? Let me just 1 second. I don't know. Speaker gallery. Something happened, sorry. With my view, I can see you full screen. Gallery, okay. Gallery, no.
Should I just then come back to you and give you the time to figure out and fix the issue?
I don't know what is the issue. Yes, okay. Something happened with my screen. You can see it, yes, but I can't see it.
Yes, we can. It is full screen, beautiful presentation. First slide.
Oh, I don't know. Exit full screen. Okay, I found it, yes? Okay, so as it was announced, my presentation today is about digital and green transition and how to explore the role of AI in greening TVET. And as it was very clear from the previous presentations, the world become the place highly digitalized. And so that's why we need to, sorry. Yeah, okay. And that's why we need to make sure that through TVET, we're addressing this challenge. And in this presentation, I would like to examine why and how AI can support greening of TVET. And for example, promoting energy efficiency, waste management, renewable energy, and how it can be addressed through different areas of greening of TVET institutions. Here I put an image generated by AI and showing our relationship, hopefully, with the nature. And I think that represents that we need to make our mind green. And so we have, after that, we would be able to achieve change that is required. So the urgency of sustainable development is clear for us all, that relates to global challenges and that relates to TVET role that it's playing in developing skills and knowledge to address these challenges. Also, we need to embrace innovation that relates to green emerging technologies, including AI, and that can amplify TVET's impact on driving change. Here, I would like to highlight how important values are, and that relates to the notes by the previous speakers who said that we are not only preparing youth for work, but we also need to make sure that we develop them as individuals, and also that they're contributing members for greener society. And that figure illustrates the links between the values and behavior or impact on socio-economical and environmental systems. This has been summarized already, just different ways how we can think about different technologies and how we can use them for sustainable development. So I think that our first presenter had a great table, so I wouldn't stop describing that. But what I want to share with you is the gradual development of our digitalization and the relationship of big data to the generative AI. And from this table, I just want to highlight that artificial intelligence has been with us for quite some time, but it became very, very popular when we start talking about generative AI and start using generative AI. So we had big data, and then we moved to the data science, that is the field of applied mathematics that use mathematical and statistical tools to extract relevant information from data, specifically organizational data. And then artificial intelligence is the computer science and mathematics discipline that aims to reproduce human intelligence and behavior. And there were attempts to deal with artificial intelligence in sociology, anthropology, robotics, linguistics, ethics, neuroscience, biology, philosophy, and other areas. And then we move to the level of machine learning, which is a set of algorithms and mathematical techniques, often coded by Python or R, that enable machines to process, use the cases autonomously. And they use the historical data for that. And then we move to the level of deep learning and then to generative AI, that is a type of deep learning that generate new data. And it can be related to coding, to image creation, to virtual modeling, and to text generation. And this is the virtual representation of, and I think that it demonstrates why generative AI became, yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on today with my presentation. Sorry about that. You heard me talking about the development of AI and why generative AI became so important, because it is so easy to use.
And it was the slide of the evolution of the AI, from no AI to the generative.
Yeah. And so now the intersection between AI and sustainability relates to AI's capabilities to analyze vast data sets and optimize processes and make predictions to enhance sustainability efforts. And so it's environmental application that relates to the areas such as energy management, waste reduction, resource optimization, and others. And also TVET, as I mentioned before, it is really important to include it into the curricula to prepare learners for the green jobs of the future and also green citizens. And our first speaker today demonstrates the need in that areas. So just bring some examples from the industry, how AI is related to energy efficiency And you can see if I put in Google search smart buildings, I had the image at the top. And if I put green building, I had the image at the bottom. So I think that our webnet still didn't put together smart buildings and green buildings. So still greening associated just with plants. And I think it is really not the case, because when we're talking about greening, we're thinking about it in a very broad sense. And here on the left, so smart buildings, I think it's same as green buildings. So they're looking at the optimization of energy consumption, reducing waste and cost. Also, it can predict the equipment failures and also enable the companies that are running the buildings to be more proactive in maintenance and improved energy efficiency, and also provide analytics. Energy analytics can identify energy saving opportunities and guide decision making. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Okay, but not in the presentation mode.
not full screen, but we can see it.
Yeah, I just try to make the full screen. So then I will show you this one. Yes, this one.
Wonderful.
The smart building and then the green building,
Yes.
still some dichotomy between this, and I think that we need to put it really together. And then that relates to waste management. So you can see that it is AI play a very important role in smart waste sorting, in transforming waste into energy, and also in productive analytics and closed loop systems. And by closed loop, it's a very, of course, big topic, and has been taken by the as a country policies by China, for example, in their 5th-year plan. And here I just put together example from the European Union industrialization strategy to support green and digital transformation. And here you can see that in Europe, energy networks, precision farming, mobility and transport, smart buildings, green data spaces, and power of data centers in particular are the key areas where Europe sees its greening and digitalization. And another area I want to highlight is enhancing renewable energy integration with AI. And AI can help us with solar forecasting, just to make sure where we place our panels, with the wind power optimization, energy storage management, and also optimization in terms of design of renewable energy microgrids. So AI-driven predictive maintenance for green infrastructure is another area, and you can see 3 points that are related to that. Environmental challenges caused by digitalization, again, was mentioned today, so we shouldn't forget about that. So we can't ignore that digitalization brings issues to our societies, particularly that relates to consumption of raw materials, energy, also in terms of supply chain during the design, development, manufacturing, use, also that relates to production of additional greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, degradation of nature, biodiversity, etc. And here, finally, I'm moving towards greening TVET at the institutional level. And the main point I want to make here is that we need to have this holistic approach and to include digital and AI components in all 5 areas that we have here. In greening campus, greening curriculum and training, research, institutional culture, and also work with communities and industry. And here just some examples very briefly. This is AI used in agriculture in Brunei, and that was a collaboration with TVET graduates, and they start producing organic vegetables, and also designed a chatbot to be able to sell these products, because for the Brunei market, it was like a new type of products, a new type of thinking. This is example from Indonesia that relates to greening of research. And you can see that from one of the polytechnics, they looked at different areas where they have been doing research and trying to map it against green technology and also social cultural aspects. And after they mapped it, they identified the areas where you would like to put the focus on. And these areas are highlighted in yellow. So the point here is that you can brainstorm the main areas you would like to research, or you can map up what you are currently doing and then strengthen these areas and identify the one on which you would like to focus. That relates to teaching, learning and teaching. And our approach that we used, we identified 21 concepts under 10 Sustainable Development Goals. And you can see here the examples. These concepts we identified based on the research in Asia Pacific, and we conducted it across, I think, 7 countries, and with support from UNESCO UNIVOC. Then we looked at many reports that have been published about Asia Pacific, and we identify that environmental area is really important together with economic and socio-environmental. So we put these concepts, we classified them accordingly. And then we just select 10 industries that were most powerful in terms of greening economies. And then we developed the resources that we have been using in capacity building for teachers. For example, I just came back from Indonesia, where we had capacity building for TVET leaders and also people from the ministry. And similar to the previous speaker, we conducted survey trying to identify their level of understanding how to include greening into their curriculum. And we developed the standards, teacher professional standards for including greening into the curriculum. And so based on that, developed a survey. And then we adjust our training for the particular cohort. But here on the screen, you can see how we structured our resources. So we identified these concepts that I mentioned, and they're on the left. And then we identified the case studies that illustrates how these concepts have been implemented by the industries. And you can see, for example, one case study relates to data centers and what the biggest companies do to make sure that the energy that is used by the data centers are renewable. And also relates to the tea park in Hong Kong that transforms waste into the energy. So the students, and of course, the green technology, also there are a lot of digital solutions, not so much AI solutions in our resources, but we're thinking that we should include while we continue to develop them. And in our work, we're using the classification of green skills. You can see foundation is the green mindset and positive attitudes towards sustainability. And then the next level is generic green skills. And there are 2 components. 3 of them are cognitive, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and they are related to the OECD soft skills, but in a green context. And then the 4th area relates to technological competencies that are the same across all industries. And that study been done by one consultancy company. And so when we're talking about digitalization or including digitalization into green training and also including AI, all these competencies would be like the focus of our work. And previously I mentioned examples from the industry, how AI can help to monitor waste, energy, and water, or manage waste, energy, and water, and also how to make energy use more efficient. And this is how our resources look like. For example, green technology, we are linking them to sustainable development goals, provide definitions, also examples from industry and application in life, and some description. So the students need to read this before going to the class. It is like flipped class. And then in the class, they discuss that and also follow them students' working sheets, where it is that because we are applying the student-centered pedagogy, we all know that the UNESCO Decade on Education for Sustainable Development demonstrates that pedagogy should be inclusive and engaging students into activities, not just sitting in the class and listening to the teacher. So in developing this students' worksheet, we use this approach. And this is the example of the case study that relates to the concepts, and that are green buildings and different technical elements, including digital elements to make these buildings green. So upskilling TVET learners for the AI empowered greener TVET. Of course, we need to include it into curriculum. We need to have hands-on training and also to encourage collaboration between TVET learners and data scientists and experts. Because in Indonesia, when I just came from, so very fresh in my memory, there is a close collaboration between TVET sector and communities, and they're working with also scientists in the polytechnics to make sure that the needs of the community, they can meet the needs of the community through technological developments. So in conclusion, we really need to embrace artificial intelligence, and what is important to include it in all elements of greening TVET institutions that I mentioned, but also, of course, in the government policies. And we need to use AI not only to develop skills, but also to support development of sustainable development values and achieving sustainable development goals. So our use of AI also should be guided by the values of sustainability. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Margarita. Your thoughtful perspectives and expert insights on the transformative potential of AI and generative AI, in particular in green TVET, have been invaluable, and we are deeply grateful for your contribution. Thank you. Putting green education into practice across schools, curricula, teacher training, educational systems, and communities requires exceptional enthusiasm, unwavering responsibility, full commitment, and dedicated courage. Our next speaker exemplifies all of these qualities. Dr. Virendra Rawat is a visionary leader in green education. He is the founder and director of Green Mentors, which has achieved special consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC. Dr. Rawat is celebrated for creating the Green School Accreditation Standard, which is a comprehensive framework based on UNESCO's Green School Quality Standard. Dr. Rawat, it is my great pleasure to invite you to the virtual stage.
So thank you so much, Elena. Let me share the screen. So is this my screen visible to you?
Yes, we see it. It's not full screen, but we see the slide.
Yes, now it's full screen.
It's full screen now. Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
So thank you so much for inviting me for this important webinar. I'll introduce myself. My name is Dr. Virendra Rawat. I'm based in India, and we work around 42 countries. Our organization name is Green Mentors. We are associated with the ECOSOC, and we are also in the working partner of the UNESCO and many other institutions, those who are working on sustainable practices. especially in the SA, Association for the Advancements of Sustainability in Higher Education. So we are part of that. We are part of many other organizations, and we work with the students, we work with the teachers, schools, parents, and communities. Now, I am here to just say that the role of education addressing climate change. We personally believe that education is only solution of all global challenges, including climate change. And what we are doing, we are working with the schools, we are working with the students, we are empowering teachers, we are greening curriculum, and we are preparing the green champions. So after passing out from the schools, they are going to vocational, they are going for the higher education, but wherever they goes, they remain climate champions. So they serve to the planet. So we believe that as an educator, after the age of 22, we cannot change the habit of any individuals. So if you need to change the habit, we need to work with the community below 22 years. And this community is studying in the schools and universities, so we work with them. So we are here to prepare the change maker who are accepting the impact of the climate change and ready to prepare the other people to face the impact of climate change. This is our core goal. As UNESCO has decided, there are 6 areas that student must learn. So when the student learn about the climate science, the biodiversity, climate justice, resilience, sustainable lifestyle, and his information about the post-carbon economies, I'm sure that he will not take any decision that will impact the local environment. So environment is not only the about the planting trees, saving the water, saving the energy, but environment, the learning environment is how to behave with the element of water, how to behave with the element of energy, how to behave with the soil, how to behave with the air quality. So the moment we understanding our behavior and we complement our behavior with the all 5 elements, I'm sure that our impact with the local environment will be minimum or maybe zero. So this is the way we work, and UNESCO have also decided to teach these topics in the curriculum. And we, as an organization that support schools and university, we connect these topic with the every curriculum, either the science, either languages or mathematics, or social studies, or any technology, management, any other subject. So we connect every subject with the local environments. So the moment we connect to learning or curriculum with the environment, a student learns it permanently, because the learning with the environment is ultimate learning. Now coming of the climate science. So climate science, we need to teach the student to understand the climate change, how the climate change is taking place, what is the impact, and what is the carbon cycle is, who is producing the greenhouse gases, how to educate them and empower them to not to produce, what is the alternative. And until unless we'll not go with the alternative, people will not stop producing greenhouse gases. So whenever we go to industry, whenever we go to enterprises or policymaker or government, we go with the alternate solution. So the moment we share alternate solution, they accept. Sometimes they act, sometimes they commit to act, and sometimes they say that we'll act later on, but they never deny. So we have transformed the climate denier to just climate change acceptors. So this is the way we are doing with through education, through teachers training, through curriculum, through policy change, and many other way. So we work every day and every way to empower everyone come around us. Yes, our planet is important to us, and there is no planet B. And we have to take responsibility for this planet. And it belongs to everyone. Now, the second topic is the biodiversity. The biodiversity, the student must know how to behave with the reptiles, how to behave with the pet, how to behave with the animals, how to behave with the plant, flora, and trees, and everything around them, and how to empathize. So the moment we understand the plant, the moment we empathize with the trees, we never cut them. The moment we respect the other animals, we never eat them. So we go to school and we teach every student, yes, in my plate there should be no tears. So if your plate is without tears, your plate is sustainable, right? So we are trying to include this in education, and most of school accepting us. We have transformed more than 5,000 schools and universities as a green school and green universities, and their impact is near to zero in the local environment. So they don't take water from the municipality, they use their waters, they have the maximum greenery in the campus, and they maintain their waste judiciously. So what we teach to them, yes, how to behave with your biodiversity in the more holistic way, not hurting them. Use the resources as per your need, not for your greed. And the purpose of that, inspiring a student to value, protect, and restore our biodiversity. So the moment we restore our biodiversity, I'm sure that we contribute to the planet. Second, climate justice. So equality, justice is very important. The activism. So our students are activists, our students are champion, our students are empathetic, and our students are the solution provider and change makers. So our teachers, our schools. So we ask everyone, please transform every mind you meet, everyone you meet. Say that yes, you are also from this planet, and we have no planet B. So please behave judiciously with the resources around you. And the moment they accept it, they start respecting the law of nature, because we believe that law of nature is the supreme law and greater than the God. And the moment we accept the law of nature, we become very close to the nature, and nature never eat us. Nature protect us. And the moment we hurt nature very badly, it responds to us in the form of earthquake and flood and many other calamities. So we believe that yes, if we behave well, our mother nature will not behave wrongly with us. Then resilience building, and just preparing them to accept the truth that is a reality. Climate change is taking place everywhere and every day and every time in different form. It impacting in my health, my mind, my action, my behavior, right? And on my whole thought process. So we need to make ourselves, yes, we there is truth, and we need to prepare ourselves. So the impact of the environment, climate change should be minimum around us, and we should prepare everyone to face it, to prepare it. And I'm sure that if we will able to bring back better, our next generation will be more safer, and we can give them better future, not for our children, for every children around us. So post carbon economies, we work with the higher education institutions. We are preparing the green graduates. We have designed a 100-hour green graduate program, and we certify them as a green graduate, and we also give them placement in the different green enterprises. So we work with the education institution closely, certify them, place them, and ensure them that these people who are working with the corporations and big business houses, we will lead the business houses to minimize their impact and commit to minimize their impact. So our green graduate program is working well across the world, including India and United States, and we are placing them well. And the sixth is sustainable lifestyle. So change should begin from me, not from others. If I'll not change, then nature will not change its behavior with me. So I need to change. If I want to see the world of my choice, I need to change myself. So we educate every student, every teacher, every community member to change from their side and change every one habit at least 1 month. So if you are using more water, you should commit that this month I'll use the water very judiciously. I will not misuse or overuse. If I'm not using power judiciously, I should use it judiciously. If I'm having a car, I will allow someone to use my car if I'm going, so I can minimize the carbon emission. So the purpose is that to change the human behavior with the natural resources. And the moment we'll able to change is we are able to convince the student, yes, you change your behavior, you change your habit, and you change your the day-to-day life. We are already minimize our impact in the local environment. And that is the whole purpose of sustainable education and training education. And we are using education as a tool to achieve the sustainable development goal of not only one country, but 45 country by 2030. Then ICT and AI. Yeah, ICT was information technology, the tools and gadgets were not affordable and accessible to the many students. But that vocational community is the largest community that is the superior, very brilliant, and they bring the ideas of science and technology into reality. So they are very smart, they adopt it. If there is change and there is any innovation coming in anywhere in the world, it is used by vocational community. Vocational community is the community that bring the idea into the ground. And we work with them. They are very smart, they are ready to learn, and they learn faster than anyone else because they are expert in skills. So they live with the skills, they uh, work with the skills, they learn the skills, and the skills is their livelihood. So my experience with the vocational community, especially the electrician, the plumber, the carpenter, any other people, and they are the fast learner among the any other community. So TBT and the contribution of the UNESCO to promoting TBT and greening the TBT and digitizing TBT is working well everywhere in the world. And we believe that the UNESCO is the world's own laboratory of the ideas, right? And we appreciate it, either it is in Moscow, it is in Paris, or it is in any other part of the world. Venezuela, UNESCO is bringing idea and bringing idea, promoting idea, nurturing idea, connecting with the community, and minimizing the impact and helping the every country to achieve the SDG by 2030.
Dr.
Moving,
Rawat,
yes.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you. We're just
Yeah.
running out of time.
Yes, 2 minutes, only 1 minute.
Thank you for understanding. Thank you.
Yes. So moving forward, we have to come together, act together, and use education as a tool to transform the world and prepare the community for the climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rawat. Thank you for reminding us all that there is no
Yeah.
planet
So
B and we have to preserve it.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
It is a privilege to introduce our final keynote speaker, Mr. Gabriel Kanayuma, whose contributions to policy development, promotion of TVET, entrepreneurship, open distance, and flexible learning have been invaluable as they aim to enhance the quality and accessibility of vocational education in Zambia. Gabriel is also representing the UNIVAC country office for Zambia, and he oversees the Commonwealth of Learning activities in the TVET sector. Gabriel, we warmly welcome you to the floor to share the insights on greening TVET in the context of Zambia's unique local landscape.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can move to the panel discussion.
Yeah, and we'll come back, certainly, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. So we now move to the next segment of today's meeting, where we are privileged to have our esteemed panelists whose leadership and insights have driven a transformative change both within their own countries and on the global scale. And we are honored to welcome Dr. Deborah Rowe, President of the U.S. Partnership for Education for Sustainable Development. 19 years ago, she founded and still runs networks of over 60 national higher education and technical education associations for sustainability, and she does much more. And our special guest from Nigeria, Mr. Chikwanonso Chikwendu, representing the UNIVAC Center in Nigeria, the Department of Industrial Technical Education. And Mr. Chikwendu is also the Mobile Laboratory Coordinator at the Center for Technical Vocational Education, Training and Research, CETVETAR, at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I pass the microphone to the host and moderator of today's panel discussion, Ms. Natalia Melina, the Chief of the Teacher Professional Development and Networking Unit at UNESCO IIT. She's the Senior National Project Officer for Education. Natalia, over to you.
Dear Yelena, thank you so much. Dear colleagues, dear experts, dear participants, it is my pleasure to continue our webinar with a panel discussion, and inspired by today's presentations, I would like to discuss with our experts, which were already introduced by Yelena, with Dr. Deborah Rowe and Mr. Chikwanonso Chikwendu, some very important measures and recommendations to make our joint efforts on greening TVET more effective and more successful. So I will address you several questions and will ask you to provide your comments. While knowledge about climate change, mitigation and adaptations is crucial for understanding the current situation and its implications, it alone is insufficient to drive sustainable development. The achievements in science and acquired scientific knowledge about climate change and its implications doesn't necessarily make young people ready to take action, to turn this knowledge into practice. So my question is, in what ways innovative technologies and digital pedagogy drive meaningful change in fostering personal responsibility and motivating pro-environmental action among TVET students, teachers, and educational community in general? And one more very closed question is how we can scale the effectiveness of these approaches for broader impact on education and social development as well. So who can start with some ideas and inspirations? Deborah, Dr. Deborah Rowe, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad to start. So I have put into the chat a link to the resources that I was going to talk about, but there's so many there that I know I won't be able to get to all of them and show their pretty pictures. So let me just do some highlights. So if all of you look in the chat, you'll see the link to the Word doc that you can have access to. Many have asked if they get access to the slides. Will the slides be shared afterwards? Maybe one of you can respond to that in the chat because I keep seeing the question. But let's look at these resources now, okay? And so look at once again, what I put in the chat, you'll see the link to this document. The United Nations Environment Program has been working for years with the video gamers and getting them to include sustainability and green skills concepts into their games. And as we know, the world of education goes beyond just our TVETs, and a lot of our students and many other people we need to reach play these games, video games. So do take a look at playingfortheplanet.org. We've talked to young people from around the world and students. Many of our TVET students are older, but we talked to a sample of them, and we said, what is it that you needed in education that you didn't get? And they said, look, we can learn how to install solar, we can learn how to have climate smart agriculture if we look for the right programs, but we aren't learning how to create systems change. We aren't learning how to help our societies move faster, because we need to move faster now. We've procrastinated about climate change for way too long. And I apologize for the United States for being as slow as they have been, although we've made progress in the last few years that we are hoping will continue. But from a global scale that I work on, we have created a free training, and it's got free educational modules for educators. It's called the Changemaker Training from Change the Chamber. You'll see that as the second item. And students have been saying to us, help us build coalitions, help us understand how to create the systems change, the organizational change that we can contribute to. The next resource is EPIC-N. This is funded to be utilized around the world. Imagine having a class full of students, and I taught renewable energy technologies and sustainable development for 42 years at a TVET, and then helped other institutions start their programs. And really, at this point in my career, just want to help anybody who wants to get good programs moving and educated educators and an educated public. EPIC-N went and got funding, and they're working internationally. So imagine a class filled with students that connect to their local communities to work on real world sustainability projects. That's what EPIC-N does. They give you a model on how to do it. They have a whole database of examples. And then there's also networks of young people who come together and they advocate for the change. So you see students organizing for sustainability. If you're in the document, you'll see me highlighting it. And also Change the Chamber Lobby for Climate, where students can become National Climate Fellows by volunteering a few hours a week and become part of an international family of people advocating for change. One of the things I think is really useful, we can't bring TVETs everywhere, and people who are in remote locations can still learn if they have a good internet connection, which is key. That needs to be available and funded somehow. Organizations like Interplay Learning, it's just one of many companies that are doing online labs so that the students actually get the hands-on skills so they can install the more energy efficient equipment, such as heat pumps, to do decarbonization and electrification, and then get renewables to power those. So you may want to take a look at the examples they have. We've got to get this in the job descriptions. Oh my goodness, I think it was 18 years ago that I was in Australia, and they had it in their standards for all TVETs. But then it didn't get into job descriptions fast enough. It didn't get into professional development fast enough. And so we really need to institutionalize this, make it the norm. So that's why I talk about the need for accreditation standards. And HESI, which is 10 United Nations agencies and higher education networks for sustainability who have come together to work on this. And I run their Education for Green Jobs group. We just had a meeting with standards organizations, quality assurance accreditors, and last week from over 60 countries talking about how we've got to get this into accreditation standards. And if you want some ideas about how to teach it across the disciplines, boy, there've been some great speakers today with resources for sure. Here's just some additional resources on that. If you're working on accreditation, do reach out to me, and my email is listed there. And then if you need scientists from a variety of disciplines, not just the earth scientists or the technical or the solar scientists, etc., energy scientists. If you go to Thriving Earth Exchange, they can provide pro bono free scientists into communities. And then you can get involved in community science, where the students actually learn not only how to deal with databases and data, but they actually help create them too. Our STEM societies put together this sustainability improves student learning. If you need to justify that, hey, if we do real world problem solving assignments, that our students will learn more, there's citations there that you can use. And as I say, for 42 years, my students went out into the community and did energy audits. They did energy audits on city halls, even on jails, on courts, on community centers, all sorts of buildings, that helped them reduce their energy consumption and their costs. And yes, I had to correct those assignments, which is a little bit harder than having a theoretical assignment, but it empowered the students to see how they could make a difference in the world. So I'll stop there with just one addition, which is if you keep going on, you'll see that we created a toolkit on how to build coalitions. We gave you some examples of collections of ways to teach it, both. And so there you go. There's resources. Over back to you, the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah, for sharing with us your ideas, and also thank you for resources shared with us, with all participants today. I think we will come back to you sometime after the webinar, asking you permission for dissemination of some part of your resources among our networks, which we have in UNESCO IIT. I think it will be very important for our teachers and school leaders and TVET leaders to get in touch and to be inspired by these resources. Thank you so much. May I ask Mr. Chikwononso Chikwendu about possible ideas or possible insights from your side?
Okay, good day, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can
Good
hear
afternoon.
you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Deborah. You've actually done a pretty job in the questions. While you were talking, I was like, can you please leave some for me to talk about? Actually, down here in Nigeria, based on what she talked about, I would like to add some insights, like where she talked about the solar installation. You see, to add to this, we talk about how we can control the waste, control how we can control waste. So we have this digital, like IoTs, Internet of Things, where you can have sensors. For instance, in a solar system, you can have a sensor that can limit the energy being consumed from a system, whereby when it gets to a particular current range, it will trip off or it will alert the energy manager that is excessive energy is being consumed. Okay, then in the area of scaling for broader societal impact, I have to say that we have to encourage our students to engage in policy advocacy through digital campaigns and petitions, because as well we can collaborate with businesses and organizations, because like she mentioned, TVET is actually being practiced over here. We don't have children who are learning TVET, or who we can say that we are teaching TVET. But I have to say we need to take it down to the grassroots. How can we get to the teachers who are teaching these children at the tender age? How can we train them? How can we give them the capacity to start from that tender age? So that in the next, let's say, 10 years, you can say, okay, this greening technology idea will be instilled in the younger generation. So if we can do that, then we can now say that, okay, let me give you an example, something I experienced here sometime. It was raining, then the water draining in the gutters, people were dumping refuse inside it. You see, and that comes to where we talk about waste management. This refuse goes to block the waterway, which causes flooding and erosion in certain places. So these are all linked to the climate issue we are talking about. So if we can get it to the grassroots, if we can begin to train the teachers, because down here, we need to institutionalize greening TVET. We need to institutionalize it so that we can now get to the grassroots, because here I can tell you very few of my colleagues actually do practice greening TVET or even try to extend it to their students. I personally, my students are well groomed so far in what is involved in greening TVET, because I personally took it upon myself to go this way. But we lack the capacity, we lack the facilities to do that. So when we integrate these innovative technologies and digital pedagogies, we will be able to create more engaging and impactful learning experience that not only educates, but will also empower TVET students to take meaningful action for our environment. So I'll stop here for this first question. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chikwendu, for sharing with us your experience from Nigeria. You mentioned about such important topics as waste management and solar technologies, which you are integrating into the local system of education and maybe your environment. It's really very important. And my next question will be also closely linked of learning experience and teaching experience. As a key point communicated today is that the climate change learning programs need to be localized, and the content needs to be relevant for students through the exploration of local issues. At the same time, while exploring local challenges and promote local solutions, it is very important to support the development of students' global vision and understanding of the impact and effects of the integrated solutions for improving the situation at a global scale. So my question to my experts today will be the following. Given the global nature of climate change, how can ICT and artificial intelligence be used to connect TVET students with local and global climate change data, enhancing both local relevance and broader understanding? Maybe we can ask to start with some ideas, Dr. Deborah.
Sure. So one of the other groups that we have at HESI, this collaboration of the 10 UN agencies, is called the SDG Publishers Compact Fellows. And when I finish talking about it, I'll put that link in that chat. This is over 20 academic publishing organizations who have come together to create the online digital materials that we need to both do the education and to make research more accessible to our students. And you know, TVETs traditionally don't do a whole lot with research, right? That's more the universities. And so the TVET students don't necessarily learn about all of the wonderful research that's out there. Many students get doomed and gloomed about the information about climate change because many educators know how to teach what climate change is, but they don't know how to teach what the solutions are. So we have to focus on educating around solutions. And so that when they learn, hey, I'm going to learn how to make a building more energy efficient, they should see how that's a very important role today in terms of the list of solutions for climate change, because it builds their sense of empowerment that they're part of something bigger. We have found that using the abstracts that come out with research articles and making sure those abstracts include the implications for practitioners and policymakers from the research, that then when a student goes to a library and looks up research, they know which articles to access. And for many of the TVET students, they don't even have access to these research databases. The same thing is true with the public, and it creates a mistrust about science. So we're working with researchers and journal editors and publishers to say, let's get the implications for practitioners, and our TVET students are the practitioners, right? And the policymakers. Let's get those implications right in the abstract. And also let's create plain language summaries from our research results when they're relevant. The second thing is it's got to get into the textbooks. A lot of places, and we checked with libraries around the world as part of our work, they just don't have the access to the digital. We have at Change the Chamber, which is out of our youth sector of the U.S. partnership, we have a number of international fellows, climate fellows, who are from Nigeria, for example. And the connectivity is a real problem. We can't get through a meeting without it dropping oftentimes, and then, you know, them having to reconnect. We saw this today, right? So we need a strong interconnection with the internet, because if you're planning to teach a lab, or you're planning to meet with policymakers as young advocates, that connection's got to be there. It's got to be strong. So that means we've got to do some advocacy around policymaking, and young people don't always learn about how to advocate for good policy, and I think that's one of the essential skill sets. But in terms of using local data, I would point you back again to EPICN, because that's where they connect with their local communities. And we also want them to connect to an international family of humans that are working to try to create a more sustainable future. Even though we've had some people elected into office recently who don't understand the climate science or won't acknowledge it, those of us who are going to be feeling the effects of it are all over the world. And so therefore we have communication vehicles that connect us through students organizing for sustainability, through the Change the Chamber group, through others, so they don't get this doom and gloom, but they know they're a part of a group of loving individuals who are working to make a better future for all. I'll put that link into the chat that I referred to and on the document too.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deborah, for your systematic approach. I would say you mentioned that it is very important to engage different types of stakeholders, including researchers, students, policymakers, and so on, and industry as well. So I think we also need to take it into consideration. Let me ask Dr. Chikwendu about his ideas regarding the approaches to connect ICT and AI solutions and TVET students with local and global climate change data.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, first of all, I will start with the let's say, data analytics. You see, in AI, it is very important to understand how AI works with data. So I will say that when we apply predictive analytics and smart energy management through AI, we can be able to optimize energy consumption in digital institutions through smart grids. Then in the aspect of predictive analytics, it can help forecast environmental changes and resource needs. And this will enable proactive measures in sustainability practices. Now, where this comes also into play is because AI is not limited to the global, even in the local area. Once you have your internet connectivity and the smartphone, you can have access to some of the advantages of AI. Then I'll also talk about the virtual reality and the augmented reality, which uses a 3D immersed learning environments. This actually helps the students to, especially those who don't really understand what it is, to or who don't actually understand what we mean by the climate change or the impacts it's having. You can use this virtual reality learning environment to show them exactly what it looks like, so that it will create a better understanding. Then we can also say we can use something like remote training. These are the technologies that can facilitate remote training sessions, making green TVET accessible to a wider audience, which will also include those in my region that are in very remote areas and undeserved areas. Then I will also talk about, I don't know, blockchain. Blockchain brings about transparency and accountability. You see, let's say, for instance, in a supply chain management, what blockchain does is that it ensures transparency, and it can also make it for every transaction to be traceable, especially in the supply chains. So that you can see how you can make it sustainable. When everything is transparent and traceable, then you can now say you can sustain the supply chains, which can be integrated into TVET curricula. And also to be able to teach students about the ethical sourcing and sustainability. Also, the blockchain system can facilitate the tracking and the trading of carbon credits, providing practical learning experiences in carbon management. It's a good thing we are talking about the electric vehicles and how we can reduce the carbon emission in the system. All these things are what is affecting the global ecosystem in terms of the carbon depletion of the ozone layer. So if you see, you can see that all these things are intertwined. They work hand in hand. We also talk about the skill assessment, and we can also use AI to assess students. You can use it to assess students' competencies in real time. Yeah, and it can also provide instant feedback and also identify areas for improvement. Then the next one I'll talk about is the how we can use collaborative online platforms. Platforms like Globe, eTwinning, they can connect students and educators globally, and we can, through that, collaborate on climate projects and also discuss and exchange best practices in going through in the collaboration aspect. Then we have virtual labs. These I have used in many occasions in teaching electrical installation, where we have virtual labs that uses simulation. This also cuts the wastage we incur during practicals. Assuming you are supposed to use let's say 70% of the consumables during the teaching and learning process. When you use the simulation with the students, they first of all understand the procedures and try it out in the simulation. Then when they now try it out practically, you find out that the consumables that will be used or damaged will be reduced to, let's say, 20% or even less. So these are in ways ICT and AI can help in the process. Even I also use the smart board because when you use the smart board, you notice that you won't have need to use the marker or chalk, or because all these things are in one way or the other being produced from raw materials. But with the smart board, everything you need is there. And it also makes it easier for you to use some audio-video means to describe and explain what you're talking about. So I think I will stop here, but I will just state that by embracing these trends and innovations, TVET educators and policymakers can create a dynamic and responsive educational environment. This will equip students with the skills needed to tackle climate challenges effectively.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chinkwendu.
Then before I stop, sorry. Yeah, I missed something about policy support and funding, because this is a very important aspect that needs to be looked into. We need to ensure that there is adequate policy support and funding for integration of ICT and AI in green TVET, because in green TVET, because these are the major. If we don't have the capacity, the infrastructure, and the facilities to do this, then it becomes a problem. So I think these are the major steps we need to take, and then have skilled personnel, the educators that are skilled and trained, that will now be able to carry out these functions effectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chikwendu. I really appreciate Nigerian experience and mentioned by you such advanced technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, collaborative online platforms, and many other things and approaches, which definitely will make teaching and learning more effective and successful. And thank you for mentioning very important point regarding the policy support. We will maybe come back to it a little bit later if we have time. So thank you very much. And, we have really very limited time for discussion today. However, I would like to get some takeaways, recommendations from you. And my final question to you will be regarding the educators' capacities. So to promote effective climate change education, it is essential to strengthen educators' capacity to deliver accurate information, integrate local contexts, and foster critical thinking on climate mitigation and adaptation. Teachers training and incorporating of ICT and artificial intelligence will enhance their ability to inspire students to drive positive environmental change. So my question is, what advice would you give to TVET leaders and policymakers who are really ready and willing to enhance the teaching of green skills through emerging technologies and transformative pedagogy? What kind of effective measures should be taken into consideration for it? So some recommendations from you to take away. Dr. Deborah, may I ask you to start?
Yeah, and then unfortunately, I really have to leave because of another commitment. So if you haven't looked at UNESCO's Greening Education Partnership yet, there are standards that have been published. There's a framework, there's multiple pillars. On Friday, we're having a session that's specific for higher ed. And so just look up UNESCO's Greening Education Partnership and wonderful activities going on there. It needs to get put into the job descriptions and into the annual performance appraisals. If it's not institutionalized this way, then it'll just be something that the champions can accomplish, but not the societal norm. We need this to be the societal norm. We need good connections with employers so that they can tell us what the needs are in terms of the skilling. LinkedIn has done a quite good job with this, by the way. And I know in some countries, there's a whole platform of curricula that's available for teachers to use, like the Building Science Education Center in the US, but that's just one example. So we've got to get the professional development built in. And I know how hard it is when you're running a TVET program to have time for professional development because you're busy with internships and job placements and keeping your labs up to date and keeping your curricula up to date. So we also have to provide support, but also accountability, that they get this professional development, and so that we do get the new curricula. A lot of our programs around the world are run by part-time teachers, and so they need additional support because it's hard to do all of this. But we have to do it. We can do it. The resources are out there already, and we're building more every day. And the mentoring, I think the mentoring is key, and showing role models to the students so that they don't get discouraged. We don't need early cynics. We want people who are empowered to make the change and make the world better. So that's it. And with that, unfortunately, I have to sign off, but I'll add the Greening Education Partnership to that resource list that I'm building for you. And I may continue to add more things. So come and check back on that list. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. Dr. Chikwendu, can we ask your takeaway recommendations?
Okay, first of all, I will recommend that we incorporate local context and the local knowledge, the indigenous knowledge. This can help in tailoring the curriculum to include the local environmental issues, and also because the indigenous knowledge systems. And this will always make learning more relevant, and it will also empower the students to apply their skills in their own communities. Then another one will be to integrate the education for the ESD, the Education for Sustainable Development pedagogies. We need to adopt a problem-oriented and project-based learning frameworks. This will bring in real-world environmental challenges into the classroom. This is an approach that is going to help the students to be able to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Then we need to also pay more attention, a very good attention, just like Dr. Deborah mentioned, in training and professional development of teachers. There should be a continuous professional development for educators, and this comes with proper investment, so that we can ensure that they are well equipped with the latest knowledge and teaching techniques related to green skills and sustainability. Also, we can do with physical and online courses, workshops, even peer-to-peer learning networks. These are valuable resources that I can advise. And then I will also say we can also, like I mentioned earlier, we should engage in industry and community partners, because when you build partners with local businesses and other organizations like NGOs, is a way to provide the students with hands-on learning opportunities, like I do with my students. Basically, we do not have the resources, the resources for me to teach them certain things. I have to reach an agreement or an understanding with all these businesses. Then I take them there. They allow me to use their instruments and the equipment to tutor my students. So that's on that one. Then we also I mentioned this before, utilize the utilization of data and the analytics. All these things play a big role. So by focusing on these advice, if they are well taken and looked into, then TVET educators and the policymakers can create a more effective and inspiring learning environment that will equip students with the skills needed to address climate change and promote sustainability.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tikvendu. It is really important to get your recommendations and to understand how it is going from your perspective. So to sum up, maybe today's discussion and some inspired ideas, let me mention that what is our future? Our future is becoming more and more digital. What is our dream? Our dream is to live comfortable in a green world. So what is the way out? The way out is responsible education for sustainable future. And today we have received very important messages and recommendations from our experts. First, more strong partnerships between different types of stakeholders, including researchers, industry, policy, and education. more understanding from policymakers and more support from them in integrating innovations and technologies into teaching and learning. And finally, I think it is support to community of practices. And this is very important for us as UNESCO IIT. I think that we need to work on this issue as much as possible to support community of practices, which will in its turn support the digital and green transformation of education in the future. So let me provide sincere gratitude for experts, for your open views, for your support and encouragement. We received very important information from you and hope to stay in touch with you in the future. And now let me pass my microphone back to Elena for final remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalia. Mr. Wan, we have noticed that you have had your hand raised. Please go ahead if you have a remark to make. Mr. Wan?
Sorry, I put the button wrong. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, that's
okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry if we have had this misunderstanding. And I would like to ask, dear colleagues, everyone present, and dear attendees, if you give us another 10 minutes to see and to appreciate Mr. Gabriel Kanayuma's presentation, because we had to shift from his presentation due to technical issues to the panel session with the agreement that we would give this opportunity and would come back to him. Mr. Kanayuma, you are currently muted, but if you unmute your microphone, we'll be happy to listen to your insights and to view the beautiful presentation you have prepared.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well. We see the presentation, but in the presenter's view, not in the full screen, but it is still quite comprehensible.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay? How is the view now?
Yeah, it is full screen now.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, sorry earlier, the connectivity challenges. So I won't take much of your time. I'm basically looking at the role of ICT and AI, basically leveraging ICT and AI for sustainable TVET. So in terms of what we look at, the introduction, then the role of ICT in TVET, the power of AI in TVET, the future of TVET, some case studies, some challenges and considerations, and a call to action. As I begin, I think wanted to take note that when we look at ICT and AI, I think we all agree that it has the power to revolutionize TVET, making it more accessible, efficient, and relevant to the 21st century workforce. This is something that a number of us saw during the pandemic on how learning continued despite learners and teachers not being in one place. Those countries or institutions that had ICTs were able to harness the power of ICTs. AI was not so much common, at least in my country then, but because of the use of technology, learning was able to go on. Now, imagine for a moment if you had a world where every individual, regardless of their background, if they had access to world-class technical education simply by logging on, how would that world look like? Or again, if we picture a young person, a welder in a rural Africa, who has access to real-time expert guidance, or a mechanic, like is shown in the image, who is in a remote village, who can diagnose complex engine issues using AI-powered tools. So we see the power of ICTs and AIs, how they can help any person despite where they are. Now, in terms of the role of ICT in TVET, 3 quick things. There's personalized and enhanced learning experiences, improved skill development, and facilitated collaboration. If you look at personalized and enhanced learning experiences, you can have interactive simulations and virtual labs, which become quite useful. Some of our institutions, like Lusaka Business Technical College in Lusaka, has facilities for simulations for those that are doing automotive mechanics. So that becomes more affordable for learners, for teachers and institutions than actually having full-fledged workshops, which would cost a lot. Then online learning platforms and resources also help to ensure that learning takes place to many who are not able to come into a 4 walls of a classroom. In terms of improved skills development, we have practical training on modern equipment. We have online tutorials and video demonstrations, which help enhance skills development. Because if you just use the traditional way of teaching where a lecturer just stands in class and doesn't use videos and other ways of enhancing the learner's experience, it becomes difficult for the learners to actually get what they are being taught. And also, when it comes to collaboration, online forums and discussion boards, most of our lecturers in Zambia have had experience of this through Common of Learning workshops, webinars, where they've been able to take part in these online forums. And they have a number have also taken part in the UNESCO TVET forums that normally take place. Now, in terms of the power of AI in TVET, of course, we have online learning, and this it allows for flexibility, the benefit, accessibility, and also self-paced learning, which becomes important because if you remember the example that was given by the presenter from the UK, where if staff want to be built capacity in terms of green skills, they can learn asynchronously in their own time, which becomes helpful for learners. Because in the traditional way of teaching, not everyone can learn when they're in class. In terms of mobile learning, you have just-in-time training, micro-learning modules, which become, again, easier for most learners to assimilate than the traditional 40 minutes or 1 hour lecture, which sometimes is too loaded for someone to learn at there and then. Then the issue of virtual and augmented reality, this allows learners to have simulation-based training and immersive experiences that enrich the learning experience. We have one of our institutions in the mines in the Copper Belt, Mopani Trust, where before the students actually go to a real mine, they are taken through a simulated experience where they are made to act like they're in a real mine, but it's just a simulation. And that helps because you avoid the accidents that would occur if they went to a real mine without going through the simulated experience. Now, in terms of the future of TVET, I realize my time is up, almost up, adapting to the new era of work. There will be need to realize that Industry 4.0, for example, will give rise to automation, AI, the Internet of Things. This is going to shape or reshape industries, and it will demand new skills. So it's important for TVET institutions to realize that they are training their learners for a world that does not yet exist. I'm sure statistics have been shared that some of the jobs by 2050 or in years to come, we are training learners for jobs that do not yet exist, and some jobs that are there now will be obsolete. In terms of green skills, sustainability and climate change will drive demand for green jobs more than there is at the moment, and for eco-friendly technologies. The digital skills, one has to be proficient in digital tools and online platforms for the future workforce. This cannot be compromised on. So it's important that that's borne in mind. Then lifelong learning is important for continuous education and upskilling, which is crucial to stay relevant. And we've heard what has gone on before that. A lot of this is happening already. people are realizing that there's need for continuous professional development, and also workforce partnerships also are very important between TVET institutions and industry. The collaboration needs to take place in order to prepare our learners for a new era of work. I'll just share two quick successful case studies. One, it comes from the Ethiopia Federal TVET Institute. There we see the focus on AI in vocational training. The highlights is that AI technologies have been implemented in machine learning to personalize learning experience for students. And also there has been enhanced curriculum development and enhanced assessment tailored to individual student needs. So that's one example from Africa. From Asia, we have Shenzhen Polytechnic University, where I was privileged to attend the TVET leadership program for digital transformation last year, in the first ever such program that took place. And this year, the colleague also from our ministry attended the same training. So their focus is on EdTech integration, and the highlights is that they have analyzed 32 case studies demonstrating the positive impacts of integrated educational technology within the TVET curriculum. And they also have emphasized the use of AR and VR technologies to enhance practical training experiences. These are things that we actually were shown when we visited their institution last year. Now, of course, it goes without saying that there are challenges, and then we must have consideration for those challenges. So I'll just mention 4 of them, but I'll focus on 2. There's the integration of technology into the curriculum. The challenge here is that seamlessly integrating ICT and AT and AI into existing curricula can be difficult. Some still resist using this technology and would rather use traditional ways of teaching and learning. The consideration we need to make as policymakers and those that can influence change is to have continuous professional development for teachers, whether this happens in person or online or through webinars. It's really up to us to see what works best in our circumstances. The digital divide, we always talk of the North and the South, but even in our individual countries, whether it's in the United States of Africa, a country like ours in Zambia, there will always be digital divide in various regions. So there will be this disparity in access to technology among different regions. So the consideration is providing universal access to digital tools and resources. I must say that in Zambia, it's been quite encouraging that the regulatory body for ICTs, that the ZICTA, Zambia ICT Authority, has tried to provide computers to institutions that have few computers or don't have any at all. So this is important for policymakers to look at how they can ensure that all the institutions, whether they are in rural areas or in the urban areas, in high-density areas, they have access to these digital tools and resources. Of course, teacher training and support is important, and sustainability concerns also need to be borne in mind. What happens with e-waste? How do you take care of it? All these are concerns that affect our environment. We need to have a plan for this. So as we end, just a call to action. I would call for collaboration, investment, and digital literacy. Let's enhance collaboration between industry, TVET institutions, and government. Let's keep talking. Let's see how we can work together to ensure that AI and ICT is something that is used in TVET, that we are helping our learners, our teachers to embrace it. Investment, we know, of course, that there are always debates on how much is being invested in education and in TVET. So we must increase funding for research and development in ICT and AI for TVET. And lastly, we need to look at digital literacy. We need to promote widespread digital literacy and skills development to prepare our learners for a tech-driven future. Thank you so much. Sorry that I had to rush through, but I hope that this helps us to think through where we are and where we have come from and where we ought to be. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandayuma. This has been so insightful. and of course, your commitment imbued your entire address. Thank you for that very much. Dear celebrated speakers, our panelists, the viewers, attendees, we aim to make this event an enriching and impactful experience for all of us, providing a platform where current successes and challenges within the event theme are openly explored. By fostering the transparent discussion, we hope to benefit TVET professionals and as well systems worldwide, encouraging the exchange of insights and collaborative solutions. The opportunity to learn from experts across different countries and education ecosystems has greatly deepened the relevance and scope of our session, and we believe that. And we believe that supporting diverse approaches to shared challenges in digital transformation, environmental sustainability, and relevant skills development. So let us further use every opportunity to energize our collective work and keep the momentum for a greener education and sustainable future going strong. As Dr. Rawat said, we do not have planet B. There won't be another chance. Action has to be taken here and now, because we take the responsibility and we have this responsibility to preserve our only home, our only planet for the future generations. Thank you once again to each and every one of you for joining us today and making this webinar a special event.